lawsuit over a 2017 crash involving a Bakersville police officer and a local motorist has been settled out of court. That settlement in the millions of dollars. 17's Connor Dorr reports.
$2,250,000. That's how much the city of Bakersfield is paying after an officer hit and injured someone on Panorama Drive. It was a hot June evening in 2017 when BPD officer William Hughes was responding to an emergency call when he crashed into a white Toyota pickup truck, injuring the driver, Blas Parra. Court documents allege Hughes was driving at a high rate of speed, over the speed limit, and driving around a curve on Panorama Drive. At the same time, Parra was backing his pickup truck out of the driveway. As Hughes came around the curve, he slammed into Parra's vehicle. The court documents say Parra suffered major injuries, including head trauma, and had to have orthopedic surgery. This crash sparked an almost 7-year court battle between Parra, represented by Rodriguez and Associates, and the city of Bakersfield. Parra sued for general negligence, naming Officer Hughes, the city, and the police department as defendants. The last court date was on April 16th, where lawyers informed the judge they have reached a settlement. $2,250,000. Hughes retired from the Bakersfield Police Department in 2020. We went to Parra's house for comment, but his family declined to be interviewed. We've tried to reach Parra's attorneys, Rodriguez and Associates. However, as of news time, we haven't heard back. Reporting in East Bakersfield, Connor Dorr, 17 News.
The murder trial of former Sangamon County Sheriff's deputy has been set for October 20th. Sean Grayson is charged with the murder of Sonya Massey after he shot and killed Massey in her home last year. The trial will be held in Peoria County.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Michael Higdon. A former Charleston County deputy will spend 3 years behind bars after a jury found her guilty of triple reckless homicide. Emily Pelletier spent the past week on trial for the 2022 deaths of Stephanie Dantzler and her daughters, Shanice and Miranda Dantzler Williams. The 3 women died on scene after Pelletier's CCSO cruiser crashed into their car on Highway 17. Our Melissa Rademacher watched this trial play out and the victims' family's reaction to the conclusion.
Guilty on all 3 counts of reckless homicide. One of Pelletier's family members collapsing in court with the delivery of that news. The Dantzler Williams family breathing a sigh of relief, but their relief was short-lived for this verdict 3 years in the making once they learned the sentencing, just 3 years in prison.
Well, today, I think this is a waste of time. There was no justice served behind this. 3 whole years. We got nothing of it. 3 years, that's not enough time. Something else could have been done about this.
He agreed with the prosecution's main argument. Even a police officer responding to a call has to drive responsibly and with the safety of all others in mind. During closing statements, the prosecution hammered home how Pelletier chose to drive recklessly over and over.
Whether it was missing speed limit signs over and over and over again, or whether it was missing the stop sign, blasting onto Highway 17, and broadsiding Shanice, Miranda, and Stephanie. It all happened so fast because the defendant was driving so fast.
His family remains frustrated with the judge's decision. Pelletier will serve 3 years in prison before 2 years probation and going home. The victim's family saying that's 1 year in prison for each life lost when it took 3 years to get to this trial in the first place. In downtown Charleston, Melissa Rademacher, Live 5 News.
Good morning. Welcome to the Bad Apple Report. It's 7:30 a.m. bright and early right here at home on the range. Thank you so much for being here today, folks. I really appreciate it. We are going to start our day out looking at this bad cop right here. And he is that. Covington DUI cop tried to pull driver out through the window. Now he's being sued. A Covington police officer, who officials say specializes in drunk driving arrests, is facing his 5th federal lawsuit, this time over allegations that he exceeded his force while arresting a Cincinnati man during a traffic stop. Damian Connor, age 38, is suing the city of Covington and Officer Doug Ulrich on claims including excessive use of force, battery, assault, negligence, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Oh my goodness. Doug Ulrich, you are a bad apple. Connor is seeking a jury trial in federal court in Covington, as well as damages and attorney fees. He's going to get it, too. Alrighty. According to the lawsuit, Connor was headed to work on Interstate 75 on the evening of September 23rd when Ulrich pulled him over for using a phone while driving. After running the man's information, which the lawsuit says Connor gave willingly, Ulrich returned to the stop and asked Connor whether he carried a gun. Okay, when Connor declined to answer the officer's question, Ulrich ordered him to remove his seatbelt and exit the vehicle. Body camera footage of the incident shows. Quote, "I don't want to have to rip you out of the car and take you to jail," Ulrich said. Oh, come on. Connor tried to keep his door shut after officers attempted to open it, and Ulrich placed Connor in handcuffs while the man was still seated. Ulrich and another officer then tried to pull Connor through the driver's side window while Connor was seatbelted in. Connor pleaded with the officers to open the car door, saying that he was being hurt by the officers' attempts to pull him through the window. Quote, "Why are you doing this to me?" Connor asked. The officers opened Connor's door and cut his seatbelt off to remove him from the vehicle. Okay. While escorting Connor to the police cruiser, Ulrich said that Connor was being arrested for refusing to exit his car and because of man's vehicle stinks like weed, quote unquote. Connor denied smoking marijuana, said his job at the railroad wouldn't allow it. The lawsuit states, quote, "There is no finding of the fact that Connor possessed marijuana," unquote. The officers did not find a handgun inside a small green bag in the car, but Connor was not slapped with any firearm-related charges. Okay. In the body camera video, Ulrich told another officer he became concerned once Connor refused to answer his questions about carrying a gun. Connor was charged in Kenton County District Court with resisting arrest, obstruction, emergency responder, and using a cell phone while driving. He was also charged with keeping an antibiotic pill outside its improper container. Oh, pfft. Court records show that when charges were dismissed after Connor completed a judicial diversion program. Okay. And then it says here, quote, "What began as a routine traffic stop for allegedly using a mobile device while driving quickly escalated into an ordeal of unnecessarily violence and misconduct," unquote, Jameer Davis, Connor's attorney, said in a statement. Quote, "Damian Connor is a black man and a law-abiding citizen. He was pulled over on his way to work. He complied with every request, providing his license, registration, and insurance, yet he was met with hostility and unwarranted aggression," unquote. It's just what cops do. Everybody knows it. Okay, in a statement, the city of Covington said Connor was lawfully ordered multiple times to exit his vehicle when refusing to answer the question about the gun. Okay, so anyways, the DUI cop has prior lawsuits. During the closing arguments of an unrelated trial in early April, Kenton County Commonwealth's attorney Rob Sanders described Ulrich as the department's quote-unquote DUI cop or go-to officer for intoxicated driving incidents. Well, Ulrich has been sued in federal court 5 times since June 2021, though the officer has not been found liable for any alleged conduct to date. According to court records, the lawsuits each stemmed from Ulrich's involvement in traffic stops. Davis, the attorney representing Connor, also represented one of the people that sued Ulrich. The lawsuit was dismissed by U.S. Court Judge David Bunning, who awarded attorney's fees to the city because several of the lawsuit's claims were frivolous. Oh, my goodness. I don't know if you need that lawyer representing you. Anyways, Bunning even ordered that Davis be partially on the hook for attorney's fees after finding Davis's failure to concede a claim, despite conclusive proof refuting specific allegations, was, quote, "vexatious conduct and needlessly increased the cost of litigation." Okay, the judge also sanctioned Davis for pursuing a baseless and frivolous claim that officers say he violated his client's constitutional rights and asking for his identification during a traffic stop for refusing to offer evidence for a racial discrimination allegation against the Covington police. Okay. It looks like this cop he's been off a time or 2 or 5, and he'll probably get off again. But for now, he's being sued for trying to drag this man through the window of his car. All right. Thanks for being here, folks. Let's move on with the show.
Inside this military courthouse at JBLM today, Jonathan Lee was sentenced to life with the possibility of parole. We were not allowed to record inside, but we were in the courtroom throughout all of today's proceedings.
I am glad that he is finally going somewhere where he doesn't have the opportunity, just because he's a soldier, to leave base again and hurt another family, hurt dozens of families. Nick meant so much to everybody.
On Wednesday, Army soldier Jonathan Lee received his sentence for stabbing 34-year-old Nick Hokema to death. Nick was a taxi cab driver who lived with his girlfriend, Nicole, in Tumwater.
This doesn't bring him back, and it doesn't complete that family picture.
Nick was found dead outside South Center Mall in January 2024. Investigators say Lee stole his cab to go on the run while he was on trial for sex crimes involving children. Nick's girlfriend says this should have never been able to happen.
It doesn't make any sense how he managed to take a vehicle off base and nobody stopped him. And then the vehicle gets towed and he calls Nick.
In court, Lee said he stabbed Hokema after a disagreement over payment. Lee originally pleaded not guilty, but on Wednesday he took a plea deal and apologized to Nick's family. With Lee facing a life sentence for murder and 64 years for the child's sex crimes, Nick's family doesn't think he will be getting a chance at parole anytime soon. They say nothing will bring Nick back, but the outcome was validating.
Just being able to see him for what he was and know that other people feel the same way that I do is incredibly, it gives me strength.
He will serve his sentence at the United States Disciplinary Barracks in Leavenworth, Kansas.
Former Fort Campbell soldier who admitted to selling state secrets to China will spend nearly a decade in prison. Corbin Schultz was arrested on post at Fort Campbell last spring. A lengthy indictment charged him with selling classified information to a co-conspirator in China. The U.S. attorney says he shared numerous documents and data about the U.S. military for $42,000. Schultz originally pleaded not guilty before accepting a plea deal last August. Today, a federal judge sentenced him to 84 months or 7 years in federal prison.
As the state and parts of the country watch this video of Robert Brooks being beaten to death and the fallout after, another family mourned and waited for answers regarding their own loved one. Amique Nixon, who's from Albany, was killed in Fishkill Correctional Facility in October, 2 months before Robert Brooks was killed. Tonight, Nixon's mother and cousin described the pain of his passing and the agony of answers they haven't received.
He made his choices. They wasn't probably good, but he was a good kid.
Amique Nixon, who wrestled at Albany High, was serving 5 years in state prison, convicted of criminal sale of a controlled substance.
I said, "How you doing, cousin?" He said, "I'm all right. I won't complain, but I could be doing better, you know." And that's the last thing I ever heard from him, and it resonates through my ear.
In the days before his death, the family had been trying to get information about a cut Nixon sustained at the hands of another individual, which moved him from Greene to Fishkill. Shortly after, on October 24th, Nixon's mother heard the words, "I'm sorry for your loss."
I talked to my son that Monday, and my son dead on a Wednesday. I can't believe it. It drives me crazy sometimes because I love my kids, and that was my baby.
They've since struggled to get information from authorities about the circumstances surrounding his death. After getting nowhere, they foiled for the autopsy, which they received in January.
When you found out it was a homicide, were you surprised?
It just messed my head up. To hear a homicide, that means my son was murdered.
The killing of one human being by another is considered a homicide, whether it's intentional or not. On the autopsy, next to homicide, it says physical altercation with others. The family says they haven't been told who the others were.
One of the inmates told me he had a fight. They never told me he had a fight.
The New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision tells me that Nixon became unresponsive following an altercation with an incarcerated individual. That last part, news to the family.
They had no footage of my son being killed. They said the cameras wasn't working.
They foiled for other medical or disciplinary reports revolving around Nixon's death. They were told that information was coming in March, which has now been pushed to later in April.
Trying to reach out to people, trying to get the appropriate authorities to investigate. These men did not receive death sentences. These men received basic indeterminate sentence of incarceration.
Despite the homicide reference in the autopsy, state police tell me his case was closed without an arrest. The family, though, still looking for more accountability and transparency that will help them through their healing process.
I want justice for my son. That's all I can ask for.
The Attorney General's office tells us they are conducting a preliminary assessment on the matter. We'll have more on this story in the coming days.
Alrighty, folks, we have some true life characters reinvented for 2025. It's Laurel and Hardy. It's actually Fatty and Tardy. Just kidding. Anyways, these detention officers have been arrested after a retired canine was found dead. Not cool, bro. Paragould, Arkansas. Oh, Lord. 2 former employees with the Greene County Detention Center face animal cruelty charges after the sheriff said that a retired canine officer was found dead at their home. Sheriff Brad Snyder said in a Thursday news release that the pair of 20-year-olds, Ethan Huffstetler and Peyton Johnson of Paragould, are each charged with 1 count of aggravated cruelty to a dog, cat, or equine, a Class D felony. According to court documents, the sheriff's office received an anonymous tip that a canine, Bane, was being neglected and abused by Huffstetler. The tip stated that Bane has been living outside with no food or water or shade, Sergeant Ashton Jackson stated in the affidavit on April 22nd. The Greene County detectives located Huffstetler's residence and asked if they could check on Bane. According to the affidavit, Huffstetler told the detectives that Bane was in the kennel in the backyard. Detectives located canine Bane deceased in a plastic dog house inside of the outdoor kennel. Jackson stated, canine Bane appears to have been deceased for a substantial amount of time. Huffstetler reportedly told the detectives that he had not checked on the dog in 4 or 5 days and that he didn't have any food for him. Stupid, terrible bad apple. Johnson, who is Huffstetler's roommate and has a dog of his own, told investigators that it had been about a week since he had seen canine Bane in his kennel. The affidavit stated Johnson stated that he did not know what kind of condition Bane was in, unquote. Detectives said, quote, due to the state of decomposition of canine Bane and the close proximity to the residence, it is not feasible that Johnson was unaware of canine Bane's condition. Snyder said both men were being held in the neighboring county facility, and he added that they had been relieved of their positions with the Greene County Detention Center. Canine Bane was certified in drug detection, tracking apprehension, and article searching. He served 6 years with the Sheriff's Department before his retirement on January 2024 at the age of 7. Canine Bane served Greene County very well during his time with the department, quote-unquote, said the sheriff. Snyder and Jimmy Huffstetler, Bane's handlers, and the father of Ethan, was allowed to adopt Bane by court order upon retirement at some point, Snyder said. Bane became under the care of Ethan Huffstetler. Well, there you have it. Super bad apples, a couple of big dummies. Let's move on with the show.
In northern New Mexico, Rio Arriba County Sheriff Billy Maryfield has died. His deputies finding him.
Aaliyah Chavez in Espanola speaking to the new sheriff in charge.
Yeah, Shelley and Doug, the details right now are limited. We know that the sheriff's body is at OMI in Albuquerque.
I can't even describe it. It's a huge loss.
The Rio Arriba County Sheriff's Office in mourning. Former Sheriff Billy Maryfield dying unexpectedly Sunday morning. His own deputies finding him.
So we had deputies that went out there on scene, but we felt that it was best that our agency didn't take over the investigation.
His body being transported to Albuquerque in a procession as our Sky 7 flew ahead. New Mexico State Police now leading the investigation.
Of course, it's an unattended death, which is a death outside of the care of a physician, so that has to be investigated, and that's with any unattended death.
County commissioners wasting no time, holding a special session first thing Monday morning, appointing Lorenzo Aguilar as the new sheriff, speaking to KOAT, describing Maryfield.
He was very, very for the people, about the community.
State Auditor Joseph Maestas and former mayor of Espanola also remembering his friend.
He was a great friend and a great public servant, but I think it hurts more when an honorable and noble public servant like Billy Maryfield passes away on the job.
KOAT now learning from New Mexico State Police that Maryfield told an unnamed friend he was okay leading up to the last hours of his life. That friend receiving a call from a different unnamed woman who says she was with the former sheriff around 3 a.m., saying they got into a minor car crash in Maryfield's patrol unit even though he was off duty at the time. That friend and the woman last leaving Maryfield in his unit, then finding him in the same place unresponsive later that morning after several unanswered phone calls.
Okay, it's time for the feel-good story of the day. Not that we usually have a feel-good story, but this one feels pretty good to me. Orlando police officer arrested over alleged cell phone recording confrontation. Aw, he got butt hurt. All right. Osceola County, Florida. A lawman in Orlando was arrested in Osceola County this week. Officer Marion Bennett, age 34, faces charges of unarmed robbery, grand theft under $5,000, and battery. He bailed out of the Osceola County Jail as soon as he was arrested. He's probably watching the Bad Apple Report this morning. Everybody say hi to him. Hey, goofball. Okay, although arrested this week, the alleged incident happened on the afternoon of March 16th when the victim said he was walking in the nature path around the Ezel apartment complex. Okay, how's it going to turn out? The victim said he had his 2 dogs leashed and tethered to a tree as he used the pull-up bar when a stranger walked up and accused the dogs of being violent. Karen Kopp. The victim said he felt scared, so he started recording the confrontation on his cell phone. He said the man had got agitated about that, snatched his phone away, and kept on yelling. The victim said he felt the man wanted to fight him. Stupid cop. Okay, he said the man finally gave him his phone, but smacked it away when the victim started recording again. Oh. He then called 911. Images from the phone helped identify Bennett as the suspect. The arrest warrant states the victim also picked him in a photo lineup. Investigators said the phone's recording showed Bennett arguing with the victim before appearing to get more violent and grabbing the phone away. Stupid cop. Okay, the report noted the victim was injured and that the phone was not damaged. The Orlando Police Department confirmed Bennett has been employed there as an officer since February 2018. He's currently relieved of duty pending the outcome of the investigation. Aww. Well, that's the story we have on Marion Bennett, a goofball. That's right. That's a cop with a girl's name and a real bad attitude. Now on with the show.
New at noon, Liberty County Commissioner David Whitmire has been indicted on several charges, including solicitation of prostitution, sexual assault, and official oppression. That after alleged sexual harassment in exchange for assistance in a child custody case. Liberty County DA tells KHOU 11 in a statement that, quote, public officials must be held to a higher standard.
You know, you are the reason the Bad Apple Report continues. It's true. The kindness you show me and each other in the comments below, that's what keeps the show going. I really appreciate you. I hope to see you tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. bright and early, right back here at home on the range. Have a great day.